The Titanic is undoubtedly one of the most famous ships in history, not only because of the tragic fate it met on its maiden voyage, but also due to the innovations it brought to the world of maritime travel. Titanic was part of a trio of ships, the Olympic-class liners, which were designed by the White Star Line to dominate the transatlantic passenger route. The other two ships, Royal Mail Ship Olympic and His Majesty's Hospital Ship Britannic, also have compelling stories, albeit ones that are often overshadowed by the tragic tale of Titanic. Together, these ships represent the epitome of early 20th century shipbuilding, but their stories are intertwined with disasters, world wars, and historic significance. The inception of the Olympic class. In the early 1900s, the White Star Line, led by Managing Director J. Bruce Ismay, decided to enter the race for the most luxurious and technologically advanced ships in the world. This race was prompted by the German shipping company Kaiser Wilhelm II, whose ships, such as the Kaiser Wilhelm der Grosse, were leading the way in terms of size, luxury, and speed. White Star, in response, decided to build ships that not only matched these qualities but exceeded them. The result was the Olympic-class ships, which would be constructed by the renowned shipbuilders Harland and Wolff in Belfast, Northern Ireland. This class would consist of 3 ships: Royal Mail Ship Olympic, Royal Mail Ship Titanic, and His Majesty's Hospital Ship Britannic. They were designed to be the largest, most luxurious, and safest ocean liners of their time. These ships were meant to be the future of transatlantic travel and were heavily marketed as the epitome of maritime luxury. Olympic, the first of the trio. The first of the Olympic-class ships to be launched was the RNS Olympic, which entered service in June 1911. At the time of its completion, Olympic was the largest ship ever built. It was the flagship of the White Star Line, surpassing other ships in size and opulence, but it was also a vessel that was built with a reputation for safety and reliability. Olympic boasted lavish first-class accommodations, including a grand staircase, elegant dining rooms, and a swimming pool, all luxuries that were unheard of in maritime travel at the time. Despite a promising start, Olympic's early career was marked by a series of setbacks. In September 1911, Olympic collided with His Majesty's Shiphawk, a British warship off the Isle of Wight. The collision caused significant damage to the ship's starboard side. However, the damage was repaired, and Olympic continued her voyages across the Atlantic. She was considered the most reliable of the 3 sisters, but her story would soon take a backseat to the launch of her younger sister, Titanic. Titanic, the ship of dreams. Titanic's design was meant to set new standards for luxury and safety. It was not only the largest ship ever built, but also the most advanced. Boasting luxurious interiors, it included grand salons, exquisite dining rooms, and first-class cabins designed to cater to the wealthiest passengers of the time. The ship was a marvel of engineering, with the finest safety features for its time. Titanic was marketed as unsinkable due to its state-of-the-art safety systems, which included watertight compartments and remotely operated watertight doors. Titanic was built alongside her sister, Olympic, but due to a series of delays, she was not launched until April 1912. Titanic's maiden voyage was slated to leave Southampton on April 10, 1912, bound for New York City. Titanic's grand launch was an event covered by newspapers worldwide, with many heralding it as a symbol of human progress and ingenuity. On April 10, 1912, Titanic embarked on her maiden voyage with an estimated 2,200 passengers and crew. However, despite the grand anticipation, Titanic's voyage would quickly turn into one of the greatest tragedies in maritime history. The collision. Tragedy strikes. On the night of April 14, 1912, Titanic was traveling through waters known to be filled with icebergs. Despite multiple iceberg warnings from nearby ships, Titanic continued to travel at nearly full speed. At around 11:40 p.m., Titanic struck an iceberg on her starboard side. The collision caused a massive gash in the ship's hull, flooding several watertight compartments. Titanic's design had included 16 watertight compartments, and the ship was considered unsinkable due to the ship's advanced safety features. However, the damage caused by the iceberg was too severe for the compartments to contain the water. Titanic began to sink, and despite the best efforts of Captain Edward Smith and his crew, the ship was doomed. The lifeboat capacity on Titanic was insufficient for the number of passengers aboard, and only a few lifeboats were fully loaded, leading to the tragic loss of over 1,500 lives. The disaster was a turning point in maritime safety, leading to the creation of international safety regulations, including lifeboat requirements for all passengers and continuous iceberg patrols in the North Atlantic. The aftermath and legacy of Titanic. The sinking of Titanic shocked the world. The event was covered by newspapers worldwide, and the tragedy became a symbol of human hubris and the fragility of even the most technologically advanced creations. In the aftermath, the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea was established to improve safety measures on passenger ships, including stricter lifeboat regulations and better safety procedures. Titanic's legacy continues to captivate people to this day, with films, books, and documentaries exploring every aspect of the ship's tragic voyage. However, Titanic's story often overshadows the fates of her two sisters, Olympic and Britannic. Olympic, a long and eventful career. Olympic's career was defined by resilience and adaptability, earning her a place in maritime history that extended far beyond the tragic fate of her sister Titanic. Following the collision with His Majesty's ship Hawke in 1913, Olympic was extensively repaired and continued to serve with distinction, showcasing her strength and ability to recover from adversity. Her transition from a luxurious passenger liner to a wartime troopship during World War I was a testament to her versatility. Olympic's luxurious interiors were stripped away to make room for soldiers, and she sailed across the Atlantic, carrying troops to the front lines. This shift from luxury to function highlighted the immense contribution of ocean liners to wartime efforts. After the war, Olympic returned to her civilian duties, though her once opulent interiors were forever altered. Her final years of service, before being retired and sold for scrap in 1935, marked the end of an era for the grand ocean liners, with Olympic remaining a symbol of endurance, luxury, and service through turbulent times. Britannic, the final chapter. The third and final sister, Britannic, had an equally dramatic and tragic career. Britannic was launched in 1914, but just as she was nearing completion, World War I broke out. Britannic, like her sisters, was initially designed as a luxury liner, but the war changed everything. She was requisitioned by the British government to be converted into a hospital ship. After undergoing extensive modifications, including the addition of more lifeboats, Britannic was put into service as a hospital ship, transporting wounded soldiers from the front lines back to Britain. In November 1916, while operating in the Aegean Sea, Britannic struck a mine and began to sink. Fortunately, the ship had been designed with safety in mind, and most of the crew and passengers were safely evacuated before she sank. Only 30 lives were lost in the disaster. Britannic's sinking marked the end of the Olympic-class ships' careers. After the war, Britannic was sold for scrap in 1919, but her legacy as a hospital ship saved thousands of lives during the conflict. The end of an era. The Olympic-class ships were not just marvels of their time, but also reflections of the changing tides in the world of maritime travel. Their retirement marked a shift from the age of grand ocean liners to the rise of faster and more efficient vessels, yet their legacy continues to captivate historians, maritime enthusiasts, and the general public. The dramatic tales of Titanic's ill-fated voyage, Olympic's brave wartime service, and Britannic's conversion into a hospital ship solidified their place in history as symbols of both triumph and tragedy, embodying the fragility of human achievement against the backdrop of an ever-evolving world. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Olympic-class ships, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fascinating stories. Share this video with your friends who love history and maritime tales. See you in the next one.